Echoing Plus is it's a project funded by the European Commission under the Erasmus Plus framework. And yeah, welcome to this edition of the webinar, where we will have a series of webinars throughout the rest of the project. So please follow us to keep updates for the new webinars. So now I give the floor to Joanna.
Yes, I would like to say good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone, because our speakers are from Canada, like they're in Canada, they're not from Canada, and for them it's morning, but from, I guess, most of the people who are present, like they're in Europe. Welcome to our webinar about vertical farming, which is part of Echoing Plus project. We're thrilled to have you all here today as we delve into the world of farming, sustainability, and its critical role in combating climate change. Today we have the privilege, our presenters, our speakers, to be two incredible people who has recently started their own vertical farm, Niklas and Sylvie Riese. I hope I also pronounced the names correctly. Our agenda for today is structured around these key points: the meaning of being an entrepreneur, a glimpse into lifestyle's vertical farming experience, and contribution of vertical farming to fight climate change. Before we start, I want to mention that we have 8 more webinars on vertical farming coming up, and you can stay updated by visiting our Facebook page or the website of the project. Marco pasted it in the comments, and it will be pasted also when we upload the video in YouTube. Well, yeah, without further ado, let's welcome our distinguished speakers, Niklas and Sylvie Riese, who will guide us through this incredible exploration of vertical farming and its significance to in our world today. Niklas, Sylvie, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Joanna. First of all, we would like to thank you, Joanna and Marco, for being part of this exciting and really incredible project that you're doing, and being part of this project by inviting us to share our experience that we gained over the recent past. So it's also very exciting for us to help out, although we are not being in Europe, but also to over the ocean to have some ideas that might be helpful for the audience. And before we are going to dive into our presentation, just wanted to introduce a bit more about us. So we are not always farmers. So originally we are passionate about fitness. So we are really passionate fitness trainers, instructors, and as a part of our work, we are also very passionate and excited about healthy diet. And so it's doesn't come as a surprise that we also introduce healthy diet to our clients. And here we really started actually our endeavor. So in the beginning, we started to grow our own vegetable fruits in soil still, and to share that also with our clients, with our customers first. So while doing smoothies, introducing these kind of things, and was very quick that we noticed we do not have enough acreage to increase what we want to grow. So that's why probably we are here. And what is still the same is that we do everything that we do with passion. And that's why we call it also Grow with Passion. That's the theme of, let's say, of our presentation, of that what we are doing. So that is something we consider as very essential in this entire endeavor that you're going to do, probably as with each project. So before I start, so since we have shared a bit about us, I'm not sure if it's technically possible, but I thought I would like to ask little questions to the audience. So like the first question would be, I would like to know about the audience, what's the favorite food? Is there any chance we can hear about that? We can hear back, so we are chat or having, I don't know, an opinion. So is there anybody you would share the name of them, their favorite food?
Yeah, we have one, burritos, in the chat.
Okay, burritos, good. What else?
Oh, roasted veggies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Something else? One more question to that. So that's actually,
Hummus.
oh, hummus. Sounds good. So, and then my next question is probably more challenging. What's the favorite dish that you cook? Cook yourself? Any answers?
Yeah. Can you see the chat as well? Yeah.
No, didn't open it. It's nice that you do it.
So I have lentil soup. I have baked chicken Alfredo.
Okay.
Also from before, strawberries and figs as a favorite food. I like figs as well. Figs are nice.
Cool. Cool. So I think that's already the answer to my next question. I just wanted to ask you, what's your favorite fruit and vegetable? Okay, so I hear figs. So we haven't grown yet, so I don't know if that works. Okay.
Tomatoes
Mhm.
and strawberries.
Cool, very cool. And my last question to that is, would you love to produce it yourself? Your favorite fruits, vegetable?
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds good.
it's done. Okay, those are the answers I hoped for. Is anybody saying no?
No, we don't have someone that's
Okay,
saying no.
okay. So, and let's start with the presentation. Thank you very much for
It's encouraging. Would be awesome.
cool. So thank you very much for your answers, and that was actually the answers I hope to hear. So that's why we are here. And Joanna said it before in our presentation. So we would like to share our perspective, what it meant to us and what it generally means being an entrepreneur, not only self-employed, but really an entrepreneur. And as a second part, we would like to share our experience that we had with tomatoes, for sure. We also grow tomatoes and we like it. And finally, we would like to come what we see, what our learnings, so our takeaway is how we think that we contribute in the concept of climate change. And so that's the three sections we have prepared. And so since you're all so motivated to produce your own vegetables, fruits, I think it's important to understand or to have an idea what that really means, being an entrepreneur. So that's based on that, how we see it, how we perceive it. That's what we share here. So I think everybody knows the situation, being in school or being at university, you have an organized day. So everything is set, you get up in the morning at a certain time and go where you have to be, being in a classroom, being somewhere in a lecture hall, wherever you need to be, or even if you're an apprentice and to have to show up somewhere in the business where you have to be in order to finalize your education. However, if you are in the situation being self-employed or even entrepreneur, it's a different situation. Just nobody there actually saying or telling you get up in the morning at 7 or at 6. So you have to start to think differently. That's also what we have as an experience from our fitness business. So it's something that you have to rethink in the way you're preparing for the day. And first thing is always to have a motivation to do that. Way back in schools, university, apprenticeship, so there is a motivation, you have to be there. So but being an entrepreneur, it's important that you create your own motivation. You need to find a motivation that drives you, that you get up in the morning be it early and be ready for that, for your daily tasks. And so for us, it's important. So we really gain our motivation out of our daily farming. So the excitement to see the plants every day growing, or seeing what has changed. Did we do the right way? Whatever we did, and that's not only fulfilling a self-purpose. It's most important that we really follow the idea what our customers want. So you cannot grow something that nobody wants to have. So, and that's also, you have to be aware when you're an entrepreneur. You do not have a boss probably telling you what expects you and diverts work to you, but I think the boss that you really work with is the customer. It's the only one who gives you the instruction, telling you, okay, today I want strawberries, today I want tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs, or whatever. So that's actually what you follow. And that's something also that you can learn. And on the other hand, we found, specifically, it's not only with the fitness where we came from, it is also with farming that we find it's really a constant learning process. We see ourselves as lifelong learners, and we like to learn because every day is different. That's not only for the vertical farming, that applies to nearly every type of farming. Weather is changing, temperature different, everything's different. So, and every day you're ready to learn, to analyze what you're doing and get some experience out of it. And that comes as a positive thing. So this innovative farming method, for example, the vertical farming, can be also others, but in particular, the vertical farming is something that gets pretty much attention, so from the outside world. So if you consider to be active, an entrepreneur in vertical farming, you will have many people that look at you and see, are you successful with that or not? And actually, even when you start, they just look at you and go, can that be successful? It's totally new. And so need to understand, be a role model in this innovative process, so you get really a high esteem out of it. I have heard compared to this in the farming sometimes that farmers are not seen as really those ones that have a high esteem in relation meanwhile, so also in terms of climate change. But here you have a totally different role, because with that, what you intend to do or you're already doing, you definitely contribute to the combat of climate change. And people will look at you. So this is what we also see. It's people are asking, what is this? The way how we grow, because we grow outdoors, so they see what we are doing and just wonder about what we are doing. And that's something, an awareness process that also help us to understand how we are acting and how to promote the business. And at the same time, being an entrepreneur, it's also that we face challenges. So I think the challenges that we have here probably are similar to that, or it's what you find in Europe, maybe not everywhere, but so we found right in the beginning that we have really skyrocketing prices for acreage. That's something you cannot simply go and say, oh, okay, I buy a piece of land and then I do my farming there. It's very expensive, and in order to be in the end profitable, that's also a fact that needs to be considered. Then a next challenge, and that's something that really is currently in our mind. We live in a rainforest, temperate rainforest. I don't know if anybody could imagine what that means. A temperate rainforest, usually you have rain starting from September. Today we also have gray weather, it's cold but not rainy. So usually our rain season starts September and ends somewhere in March. And it's not that we have rain and stops, it's a constant rain. However, this situation has dramatically changed also in our area. That's what we were used to way back when we tried to protect the crops from rain has changed. We have a drought situation in the rainforest, which is unprecedented. We have never seen that before. We have seen that some farmers that use pretty much water, they had really to shut down the water provision to their plants, and they lost the crops since we do not have enough water. A really extreme situation. However, we believe that also in future, since it is an outcome of this dramatic climate change that we see every day with the high temperature drying out of watersheds and rivers, I think that's a situation also present in Italy, and we have first year that we see that here too. Then next challenge that is also important to consider before really diving into your endeavor, increasing costs for like capital costs like interest rates, energy, power, and fertilizer, and in some countries, human resources. So if you need farm hands, they're pretty expensive. Shipments and transportation costs. That's also something, and not even in terms of cost, but it's also a part that needs to be considered in the context of climate change. And an important challenge that we also notice and is producing at a level that you can sell it at a reasonable market price. You won't get rich when you're a farmer. So it's not that in the end you will be a multimillionaire. Maybe you will be. I don't know. We are not yet. We are working on that. But it's something we also have to leverage our prices to the market, and therefore we need to be profitable. So I will elaborate a bit later how we do that. And what for us is the most important thing in all we are doing, we try to minimize the environmental impact by that what we are doing. So that's something that also brought us to our, sorry for that, to our vertical farming endeavor. So what would it mean to have or to start for us? So maybe it's more like that we summarized here how we got into vertical farming idea and being self-employed, being an entrepreneur. What we did, we started with the market research. As I just remember where we came from the fitness area where we have not enough acreage, we were looking into situation or into technologies that might help us to increase our acreage without acquiring new property, new land. So based on that, we created a business plan and also financial plan. That's our starting point. And I would always encourage to do so. It's important to understand your own business, also in terms of financial dimension and in terms what you do. With a business plan, you cover actually all areas from the competition towards technology, outcome, everything that you expect. And even if you don't go to a bank, which would be eager to see it, if you go for financial assistance by a bank, so for loans, etc., or subsidies, it's important for yourself to know what you do and to plan your operations. And after that, the next point was to set up the operations. So acquiring the right equipment, and sometimes you're overwhelmed when you start, assembling the stuff that you bought and say, oh, how would it work in the end? And then grow and produce. It looks easy, but it's also comes with challenges. And that goes along with the client bases. And there is a good thing, you should never grow anything where you do not have demand, except you want to eat it yourself. So that's something very important. that we always try to consider. However, we experiment. That goes without saying. So probably nobody has asked for, but we just, since we want to create a new client base for a certain other product, we try to experiment with products. So that's our perspective, how it should work. So to develop your own business, hope that helps those that are not yet there to do so. Just a short summary of that, what we did in research. I had a conversation with Johanna, and she also thought it would be helpful to share just that result we had, because soilless farming is probably in everybody's mind, and there are different technology, and just a rough overview of that, what we dived into and had a look at was one of the technology is the nutrient film technique, where you wash nutrient-rich solution over the roots of plants. It seems to work only for small and quick maturing crops like lettuce or herbs, strawberries, and partially, but it's mainly a horizontal system, so that would help us. Then the other thing, it's a bit more technical, deep water culture. It's a technology where you have your plants sitting in a nutrient-rich solution, and you need an extra nutrient supply. We have seen different options for that when it comes to grow vining plants like tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers, but still we were still at the same point that we could have done in soil, so it's still working much better for horizontal system. So, and finally we came across an aeroponic system, which is not hydroponic, it's a bit more advanced system. And compared to the hydroponic here, you have the roots not sitting in the solution. It's something where you have the roots stabilized by substrate. However, the nutrient-rich solution is not washed over. It comes via spray or dripped over your plant roots. And we went for the version where we use drip nutrient water system, because that's also seen the sprayed one is quite technical and might not be that robust as we were looking for, since our intention is to grow as much as possible outdoors and using natural light as much as we can. And we use cold frames mainly to protect the plants, heat, the cold frames if needed in the springtime, but as soon we can open them, we do that. And same thing for our little greenhouse that we are using. So, and our experience will come out or coming out of the vertical aeroponic system that we are using. So here we are. We hope you're still excited and to see what it looks like. So that is what we do. We cover not the entire value chain process. We have decided to start with propagation. I will elaborate in a minute a bit more about that, what we are doing here. Then crop production. And here you see already what we do. We use towers and for our plants, and the harvesting process, which covers also replanting, covers the cleaning and everything that's related to produce in order to sell it. What would it mean, the propagation? So after our research and experience from soil, we have decided to work with cocoa coir pellets that you see here in our little example. And so when we do our propagation, the first thing that we do is we plan along the season, since we are trying to use as much as possible outdoor light and not like many others try. You can do it for sure. You can grow in a container, but in our case, we try to use as much as possible sunlight because we consider it more environmental friendly, not to use too much energy, even with solar. But that's why we are planning that along the season, and that we see what we use in the start, and like corn, salad, spinach, or rucola, lettuce. So when it's in the early spring, when it's still cold, or the warmer crop that comes later, however, needs to be grown under the propagation pretty early, because you always have a lead time for each crop. And also an experience, so we have not everything is suitable for vertical farming and not for hydroponic, aeroponic. So also here we had some experience which seeds we are using, and some they do not get that much yield. And just to have a little side joke here, we are experimenting for quite a while with lemon radish. And I think, I don't know, the 100 times I tried to grow it and then always failed. I have no idea why. So that's something, it's also a learning procedure. So it's not every seed that's suitable. And when I mentioned here the cocoa coir, one important thing is for us that we do not grow in rock. I've seen others that try to use rock wool, and what I find, or we found actually, that is something that stays forever. So if you have that, you cannot use it anymore. You have to throw it out in the disposal. And here we have decided to use something that's compostable. And decision went to cocoa coir, so we do not use peat moss. So everything that we have when we harvest, we compost our cocoa coir pots, and and use that. Yeah, and then so just coming back to the propagation. So hopefully I do not lose myself in all these details, but to us it seems to be important to share that knowledge. So when our seedlings have the right stage, we set them out into the towers. How will it look like? So we grow here. We grow really exclusively under LED lights. We have the red lights, more violet, depends on the wavelength, so depends on the crop what we are using. And later on, when they're out, so we separate into different groups again, so that they can grow under the right wavelength, so the right light color. That's important. And we also make good experience with heat pads that we are using exclusively in the propagation. Here we are with energy, intensive use of energy. Just I have to admit that that's a thing that it is. So because it takes a while, and LEDs are quite consuming, that's why we try to use it, limit that only to propagation. Then the next part for the crop production is that we produce in groups. Since we know that plants have different requirements in terms of nutrients, in terms of light, temperature, we bring them together in groups. Usually we plant them in different towers, so that we do not use the model of companion plants. However, I don't know who has seen that on the Facebook post. We have an experimental tower where we put together tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. Everybody would say it's crazy, it doesn't work, and it's just an experiment. It's just we wanted to see what would happen, because we had, out of the propagation, we had plants left and nobody wanted to have it. We sell usually the excess plants, and we were sitting on 20 plants or so, and then we said, let's put them together. We'll see who survives, and we'll see what's going to happen. That we still have, and interesting enough, we harvested. But we are not yet done, so season's not yet over. So what usually we grow in fruits like tomatoes, cucumbers, which are strawberries, they're totally different. There's different type, and that also helps us to have a better control of the environment, to see how they grow, and when we have to interfere, it's easier to apply that for the group only. And so that's something where we also see, I think you can see it on our slide here, that we try to do. And also when we set them out, they have different grow periods, like lettuce, you have about a month or so, and then we renew them. Or you have the longer standing crop like tomatoes. So they are sitting there for the entire season, and most important that you make sure that they have the right nutrients at the right stage of their growing phase. So that's easier when you do that within groups. So how would it look like? So that's one of my favorite pictures because it shows pretty much our little plants. So I always love to do the propagation. I'm the propagation guy here in this group. And because I like it to see when I come out, but you know what, it's not yet done. When you have your plants coming out, I'm always just say the success is there when you harvest, when you harvest enough, and compared to the efforts, to everything that you put in. So important here is really that you can see the seedlings when they come out. If you set them out too early, they might not develop very well. So they need to be a bit bigger. So they need to have at least 2 or 3 leaves that are not seed leaves. So that gives an indication. Some people say it's the height, but we have seen the height's not essential. It's really to see which plant is strong, and sometimes they have to give up on plants that are not developing very well. So you just have to throw them out. But this really the strongest plants will really be the promising one, because you do that with everyone harvest. So it's not only to grow them out of the pot, it's to harvest in the end. And specifically for the vertical farm, it's also an understanding that you need to have about what you want to harvest. Do you want to harvest something that doesn't need any bees, or do you need bees in your process? So that determines also indoor outdoor farming. Crop that doesn't flower, that doesn't need any bees or bumblebees in crop production. So that's why I think it's a bigger market to grow lettuce, herbs, or leafy green, because it has a quick turnover. But having in mind, you always have to substitute the substrate. So it needs always a new substrate for each cycle. So for the leafy green, you have more cycles, and you're totally independent. You can grow it indoors, outdoors. So it's much easier. On the opposite, if you go for cucumbers, there are seeds that have only female flowers, so they might be easier to grow. However, here you need to think about it that you need to have insects in that process. Tomatoes are good, peppers are good, they don't need it. So just have an idea. So when you set up plants, we are not yet done yet. We are not just watching. So that's what we thought in the beginning. Before we really started that, it was easily sold to us, saying, okay, you just put the plants in and wait until you can harvest. Unfortunately, it's not the case. During the entire grow process, you need to have a closer look what's going on into your nutrient solution. What we do, if possible, let's say if you're not away some days, we are also away, so you can leave it for a couple of days without doing anything. However, we try to check every day The ppm, that means part per millions or EC of our nutrient solution, and pH value. Why do we do that? Plants have different growth phases, and they also need different amount of water or a different amount of nutrients during the growing phase. So that requires either to refill water in the entire container, although we have the groups, but nonetheless, we during summertime and during fruit bearing stage, they also need more water. For example, then you have to add water, or you have certain nutrient types, and that's what we measure and what we do during the life cycle. And yeah,